I'm Lindsay Lipman, and this is Texas Voices, the podcast, a production of Central Texas News Now in Waco, Texas. Classie Ballou is 81 years old, a living legend that played with the likes of Etta James, Chuck Berry, and Ike and Tina Turner. The Louisiana-born musician settled in Waco as part of the house band of the only black nightclub in Waco called Walker's Auditorium. We met at the old Tokyo store in West to talk to the living legend and hear his stories. First, just tell me, we got to see you in Wortham in your band, and I mean the crowd was just, they loved it. They loved you and the family band and everything. So tell me what you enjoy about performing and being out performing for people.
Well, number one, it's a joy for me to perform with my family band. You know, all through the years, I had to hire guys and all that, but it's a joy for me to perform with my family band. You know. Yeah.
What are you most proud about your family for?
Well, number one, the talent that they have. They have great talent. They're all real super talented, really. And what I'm referring to when they all can play more than one instrument. You know, yeah. You know, they play different instruments. You know, yeah. Because you know, it's like my daughter. She play anything, everything, and my grandson the same way too. He's real talented.
So there must be something in your genes.
Son. I guess so.
You just have it in your blood.
Yeah. Well, to be truthful about it, you know, I'm an only child, and my mother nor my father was musically inclined. You know, well, on my mother's side, well, she had some brothers and uncles would play that at accordion back then, Cajun music. You know, in other words, they just without an amp, without a mic or anything.
Yeah. So how old were you when you moved to Waco? What year was that?
Oh, Lordy, that was in 60, help me out, 63.
So 1963. And did you already have your family then, or was it you by yourself? Or?
It was more or less, no, it was me by myself. Yeah, at that time, you know.
So what brought you here to Waco from Louisiana?
Well, I was on the road back then with Big Joe Turner, Roscoe Gardner, and Etta James, and Chuck Berry, and they had a famous club in Waco called Walker's Auditorium. I'm sure you heard of it. It was like a what's that famous theater in New York?
Apollo?
Yeah, it was kind of like the Apollo. Everybody been there. I even opened up for Red Fox before he went on TV, but I'm jumping the gun. So anyhow, the old man, Mr. Walker's, you know, he was the owner and everything, you know, and he had a voice like Barry White. You know, he said, "Hey, young man, I like that band you got." He said, "I want you to stay here and be my house band." I said, "Sir," I said, "Man," I said, "these people gonna kill me," because, you know, in other words, I was that backup band. They always, he said, "I'm gonna make you an offer. I bet you go say bye." And he did. He made me an offer. And my wife and our first child, well, he was a little older than my little grandbaby, but his name was Cranston, you know. Yeah. How old Cranston was, Milton? About 4 or 5 back then? He was 5 years old. So my wife was traveling with me too. You know, she said, "Classie, we need to settle down somewhere." And she said, "All that traveling ain't no good for that kid." I said, "I don't like Waco. I don't want to stay here."
Famous last words.
So the next day, Mr. Walker gave me the address and you know where he lived at, right off of Waco Drive. All that new to me. I knocked on the door. His wife came and come to find out she was from New York. "Hi, Mr. Ballou, how you doing, sir? I said, yeah. She said, my husband told me you had a great band. She said, before you go, you know, he had his little office in his house. She said, before you go negotiate with him, I'll cook you a big breakfast. I said, really? And she said, follow me in the kitchen. I said, yes, ma'am. A big old platter with eggs, grits, hash browns, all kind of stuff. So when I got through eating, I went in his office. He said, hey, young man, he said, I meant what I said. He said, I want you to stay here in Waco. Because he said, you got a great band. And he said, we both can make some money. And he did. He made me an offer. I said, really? I can't tell you how much. And so I told my wife about it. She said, Classie, you need to take that, because she said, we can't keep traveling with that kid like that, you know, and we got to settle somewhere. Yeah. So we ended up buying that house while we were in Waco, been there since '63. Wow. Yeah.
What was it like in Waco for your family at that time point in the '60s? I mean, that's during the civil rights movement. You're here, you know, in the South. Was that hard for your family during that time period?
Well, you know, it wasn't no easy task, you know. I mean, because like you say, it was pretty well all over back then, the United States, you know. Yeah. So, but anyhow, but to make a long story about me, I'm the type of guy, I never was prejudiced, no kind of way, because we're all human beings. I don't care if you're Spanish or Indian or white or whatever. Yeah. I never was like that. Yeah, you know, no, man.
But was it hard living all these years in Waco? I mean, Waco was segregated at the time, right?
Yeah, I would say so to a certain degree. Yeah. But the thing it is, I wasn't playing no white clubs back then, so say. You know, I was just playing. Mr. Walker, he would play me. I was doing 6 nights a week. I would do 4 nights at his club. Then he had a friend live in South Waco named DV. Had the best reels. Ooh, that man. So he said, him and DV, it was buddy, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he would send me at DV on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Wednesday we had a big night at his club. It was packing there like B.B. King would be over there. And then I'd come back Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah. I made the 6 nights, you know. Yeah.
Now, was this before, so once you got to Waco, you still would tour and stuff like that, right?
No more touring. In other words, like you said, you got to play for me exclusively.
Right.
Yeah, other words, I couldn't go on the road no more, you know. Eventually I went to, we're going to come around to that, but let me finish this, you know. So the bottom line, I became the Michael Jackson, or the Elvis Presley, whoever you want to say over there. And I mean, my theory was to always keep a good band, a good show. We would draw just as big a crowd as Ike and Tina Turner would be there, or whoever, you know. Yeah, that old man, he was making money. Well, we was making money too, because the kind of money he was paying, man, it was, you know, back then, that was big money.
It was good.
Yeah, you know.
But then do you feel like, has it been hard to keep going out there, playing the blues? I mean, do you feel like the blues is dying off a little bit right now, or do you feel like, you know, the people still want to hear the blues?
The blues has died out a whole lot. But it's still there, because the blues ain't gonna never die. Never, no. But it's not as popular as it used to be, because, you know, you got so many of them young ones doing hip hop and all that, rapping and on. I can go on and on. So the blues is really, but the blues gonna be forever. It ain't gonna never die, you know, because you still have. My wife and I, we was a great friend of B.B. King. I mean, real close friend of B.B. King. We met him in Louisiana before we got married, you know. Yeah, and then
Okay, good. I was having them turn the music off.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, to make a long story short, so I decided to go to California with my band, because I had a heck of a group. And I had a saxophone player from Dallas, and he's dead. And so uh,
Y'all can come on in if y'all want to sit right there at the edge of the bar. We're just doing an interview.
We can't be in there.
Oh, no, no, no.
Can we get a beer?
Oh, sorry. They're not open.
All right, thank you.
So anyhow, to make a long story short, I had a great horn section. So the saxophone player, his name was Cephas, and he had a brother live in San Diego. So he said, before we get to L.A., let's stop and I want you to meet my brother. And man, his brother was a member of a Shriners organization. So they had a local band, kind of like mine, and they had a big dude weighed about 400 pounds. His name was Big Bud something, I forgot, but he was bad. He was good. So anyhow, so his brother told the club owner, he said, man, he said, my brother played with, he said, this is a great band. He said, why don't you just let them set in and play a song or two? And that man heard us the same way like Mr. Walker. He said, man, I want you to be in my house band. I said, man, we're on our way to L.A., you know. And I mean, I will play about 2 songs. He fired that band he had. We ended up staying in San Diego Mills what for 2 months, 2 or 3 months, huh? Yeah. No, but I'm talking in San Diego. But that's coming up. That's what B.B. King. That's a little different story. So anyhow, they had another a popular club in L.A. called 5-4 Ballroom. You ever heard of 5-4 Ballroom? It's just like, you know, just like the Apollo Theater. It was a legend club. Everybody done played over there. And you know when I got over there, who was just starting off?
Who's that?
Marvin Gaye.
Oh, wow.
And had a little. You heard of Johnny Taylor, but this wasn't the original one from Dallas. The little short, fat Johnny Taylor, and the Platters.
Wow.
Only you can make my dream come true. You know that lady. She had such a great voice. And B.B. King. Because like I said, my wife and I, we had met B.B. King in Louisiana. So he lived in L.A. and so when we got through with our concert, B.B. said, he said, I want y'all to follow me at home. I'm gonna call my wife to cook y'all a breakfast. I said, okay. And because he lived in San Fernando, how you say it? San Fernando Valley. You know, right out of L.A.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so make a long story short, I followed him, and he had a Cadillac, you know, and I had a big station wagon and all that, you know. So we got over there, and so it was a white lady came to the door. I said, oh, you got your white maid? He said, no, that's my wife, man.
That's hilarious.
He said, that's my wife. I said, what? So anyhow, she cooked a big breakfast for us and everything. We ate, and you know.
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest of this history. You're right. It's much more, but I don't want. It's so much more.
You don't want to say all that on camera. All your stories.
We could be here 5 hours if I got to tell you. Yeah.
I wish we could. I wish we had the time. So, what's the best advice you've ever been given your whole life? Is there any piece of advice from somebody that, really helped you day to day?
Well, my father, my father, when I first got my guitar, it was a Telecaster, and I used to practice and practice, and he had just built a brand new house in '52, and they had a big window, what you call it, a big in the diner, and they had a man, his name was Keedy. He just played the drum and had a guitar player back then. So he had an old Cadillac, and when I practiced, he parked his Cadillac across the street, and he listened to me. So then finally he came. He said, Mr. Ballou, he said, your son can play that guitar. He said, I'd like for him to play with me. and they had a little juke joint, you know, about a block and a half from our house where we was. You know, my daddy just had built a brand new house in 1952. So so he came and my mother was Creole. She couldn't speak English. He said, I'd like for that boy to play. My mother said, oh, no, Clyde. She said, pas jouer. She said, because other words, you know, she said, he too young, you know. So he so it went on. So he came a week later. He said, we didn't talk money, but he said, I would pay that young man some good money. Same thing with like Walker. And you know, so back then, I think he was paying. He had a guitar player. This man, he was a drummer. You know, he clowned and play all wild, and his name, I can never forget it. The guitar player his name was Paul. But Paul, he started off all right, but he ended up getting drunk. You know, and so he said Paul. I paid Paul $10 a night, but he said if y'all let me have that young man, I pay all. What my mother said, oh no, Clyde, oh no, and Creole, he said, I'll make it 25. She said, well, maybe. She said, well, maybe we.
You might have a deal.
Yeah. And I've been you know what he did? He had a truck. We went to Salisbury, Texas. And he bought me a brand new station wagon. He traded truck. I said, what you gonna do, Daddy? He said, hey, don't worry about me. He could see that other words, you know, I was gonna be a little icon. He could see that in me, you know.
Yeah.
He said, don't worry about it. I said, Daddy, you need your truck, because, you know, he had a pickup truck and, you know, garden and all that, all his fertilizers and all that. I said, what? He said, don't worry about me. And he bought me a brand new station wagon. I got a picture of that too. I'm sitting on it, you know. Look up my website. You go see it. You know, yeah. Anyhow, so we went on, man, and then eventually I had me a drummer, a bass player, and one horn. And boy, we got hot, and then the next thing I knew, I had two horns. They started getting, and it went on from there. You know, on and on.
So did you leave school to go play, or did you go through your education while you were playing instruments?
Yeah, well, I went to school, but I didn't finish. I stopped in the 8th grade, promoted to the 9th, yeah, because it got so.
Yeah.
Well, and then I kind of fault myself for that too, because, well, I was making so much money, so in my eyes, I didn't need no college degree otherwise. You know, I'll finish school. Yeah.
So now when you're looking back, what are you most proud of, or what's been the best time of your life?
Well, you know, in my younger days when I first started, you know, yeah, and to make a long story short, I had a guy named Howard Lewis in Dallas, Texas. He had his own club, he had his own agency and everything. He heard about I don't know how the word got in Lake Charles about Classie, Ballou. Same thing like Mr. Walker. He said, you come over here and stay in Dallas. He said, I got my own club. I got my own agency. He said, I'll keep you on the road, and what I do, he said, I hired singles back then. See, Chuck Berry never owned a band in his life. Ruth Brown, Etta James and all them, T-Bone Walker. You know, because, you know, a band is a responsibility, you know.
Yeah.
So what he would do, he would put me behind, you know, one of them, and we would tour all Texas practically, a little bit of Arkansas. Then when I come back again, he might put me with Etta James. I do this. I was making money too. Yeah, man, shit.
You loved it. It's a great
Yeah, because I told him, I said, you got to pay. He said, hey, I'm going to pay you, young man. I'm going to take care of you. And he did for me and my band. And we was wearing tuxedos, man. We had to, you know, clean, you know. Yeah, I'm talking about tuxedos, first class, you know.
Yeah.
That always been my motto, because I used to watch Count Basie and Duke Ellington and all them. They always had that band in a suit, first class.
Yeah.
So believe you me, that's what got me. I'm the only soul brother that played on the Baylor's campus. I'm the only soul brother that played at Coach Monkey House.
Well, that's what I'm saying. during that time, I mean.
Yeah, but I'm kind of jumping the gun. But I'm telling
Yeah.
you, that suit, just like I gotta say this too. Just like at the White House, you ain't gonna see nobody walking around in no blue jeans or no khaki. I don't care how much the Republican and Democrat hit each other, but they got a suit on. Am I right?
You're right.
You ain't gonna see nobody walking.
No.
So in other words, it's just a fad thing. You can't get no higher than that. It's just
Yeah.
prestigious, you know. Yeah.
About looking good and feeling good and having that
Right,
respect.
there you go. And that took me a long way. Still is, you know. Yeah, whenever we play some private, we do a whole lot of private parties. Well, I don't slow way down. I used to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've done that for years and years. Yeah, I was the Michael Jackson in Central Texas for years and years. Or the Willie Nelson, you can go on.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But you know, I don't. You know, in other words, I just think about all the good things I've done. I mean, it was always good, you know. I never been to jail in my life. I never been in no trouble, and I never did do drugs. I've been called a square by Ike Turner because I didn't want to snort no cocaine. One time we was in Wichita, Kansas. We had at a Coliseum. We had about 25,000 out there, and I was the opening band for Etta James. Well, I do my show with my band, then Etta James, then Ike and Tina Turner, then, you know, there was the stars that they do. So we're all in the dressing room wearing tuxedos. I was doing a little drinking, you know, just to wet my throat, a little half pint of Crown Raw.
Yeah.
And I snuck, Classie, man, that's what you need to be doing, man. Snorting that coke, you know. I said, man, I don't do that, man. And he called me a square, and that kind of hurted me.
Yeah.
All I got to say, he's 6 foot under. I'm big and fat, picking and grinning, still watching the Young and the Restless.
Don't hurt you no more, does it? That's right. You
Yeah.
told me you love Young and the Restless.
Huh?
You said you love the Young and the Restless.
I do.
That's not on our channel though. They got rid of all my children. And all the
Really?
stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know
that
why.
was a hot one too.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
for a
all
long
my
time.
children.
I
Yeah.
grew up watching that.
I've been with Young and the Restless ever since David Hasselhoff was interned. Miss Chancellor's dead. Now I got to fight with Victor. So you know I'm telling the truth, right?
They needed to send you out there. So tell me, you know, before we start interviewing your family, tell me what family means to you. And you know, you've lived such a big life, but you've kept your family together, and that's hard for a lot of people to do.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people end up with broken families. And
Well,
all that
that's
kind of
true.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, I just loved in my family. Well, it got to a point to when I wouldn't hire nobody else but my family. In other words, you know, yeah, we stayed together for a long time, and then you know things don't last forever. And then I'm kind of, like I said, everybody said, when you gonna retire? I said, I'm not gonna never retire. I'm gonna play till I die. Yeah, because as long as the good Lord give me the health and strength, I'm not gonna never retire. Yeah.
Well, it's your gift. I mean, it's what you were born to do.
Right, yeah. And not only that, I do retirement centers by myself. Do you know I'm the Michael Jackson in Waco that retired? I play 12 to 15 a month.
Wow.
That's how hot I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started today and I'm playing tomorrow. I'm in Temple.
Uh-huh.
They want me in Longview. They want me in Dallas and Fort Worth, but I hate that traffic in Dallas because I got a son living in Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I mean, they want to pay me good money too, but I just
Yeah.
hate that traffic. I can't stand that traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Ooh.
you give so much joy to the people that listen to your music. They get up, they dance around, they're laughing, they're singing,
Mm-hmm.
they're smiling. That's got to make you feel good.
Oh, it does, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It make me feel like a Michael Jackson. Hee hee.
Michael Jackson from a while ago, not current.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Well, I don't mean to. I want to say something about Michael too. You know, he had personal problems, Prince, all of them. But the guy, he was an icon. He broke everybody's record.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, Duke Ellington, everybody. I can go on and on. Yeah, man. Nobody. That Thriller album. I sold every artist back in the days who was icons. Frank Sinatra. I can go on and on. Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
No one sold records like Michael Jackson. Now his personal life, that was his business. I'm
Yeah.
just saying. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So what's next for you and your family? What are you kind of looking forward to right now?
Well, I'm just cooling it. You know. I mean, I just like I said, I don't play the. I just do special things like festivals, like I was in Vegas. I mean, what you call it?
Worth in Vegas. Worth Vegas.
No. Oh, that's another thing. They've been trying to get me for years and years over there at, what's the name of the place again?
Well, which place? Wortham?
Yeah, Wortham.
Oh, yeah.
But she always had that hot band and I couldn't go. But they've been trying to get me for years and years, and finally,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad they did, because that's when I saw you. Do you
Really.
hope that people will, you know, who may, you know, younger kids or whatever, will discover your music and learn about you and everything that you've done?
I would say so. Now, I'm not a phone man, but my grandson and my daughter and all of them, they bring up some stuff about me that I had forgot about.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, some pictures of me when I was 29 and 30 in the waist and all that.
That's pretty incredible.
And a whole lot of styles I would play with too that I have forgot about because it's so many, you know. Yeah.
So this new series that I'm doing is called Texas Voices.
Mhm.
And now I know you started out in Louisiana, but you've been living in Waco a while.
Yeah, since '63 I've
Right.
been.
So I mean, you're a Texan too. at this
Right.
point.
Yeah.
But you know, what do you hope? Like, do you have any kind of message, or you know, what do you hope the kind of impact you've made, just not only on our state, but just other people and in the industry?
Well, all I gotta say, you know, to all the musicians and all the businessmen and everything, just keep a cool head, man. Stay off them drugs and all, because it will take you down.
Yeah.
That's how come I never did do it.
Yeah.
I'm 81, and I'm still number one.
In recent years, Classie's health has been degrading. A GoFundMe has been set up to help with converting a home he bought in the 1960s to make it accessible and safe. Texas Voices features the artists, musicians, and creatives in our great state. Subscribe to the podcast for new episodes, or watch Central Texas News Now on Roku.
Just